Yes, what up everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm Eric, your host, and you're listening to Clip. Clip brings you the tips, resources, and people to help you become a better, more efficient content creator. In this episode, I'm talking about brand identity. We're going to understand what a brand is because I'm not even sure I completely know. So in this episode, you're going to learn what a brand identity is, the reality for new content creators, how to embrace evolution within your brand, within your content, and why you don't need to worry so much about your brand if you're a new content creator. Unless you've been doing this for a while, chances are you don't even know what the hell your brand is. And I'm going to get into that as the episode goes on. But first, got to give a shout out to this episode's sponsor. That's Riverside. Head on over to riverside.fm to take advantage of their new AI clips. You can easily create clips for your podcast. That's video clips for your podcast within seconds using their Magic Clips feature. They've also just updated their software. They've got better remote recording online, better syncing, better transcripts, and a slew of other AI features. So if you're new and you haven't used Riverside, head on over to riverside.fm, enter promo code CLIPPED, CLIPPED, for 20% off. Okay, so what is the term brand? What does that mean? And honestly, I'm not sure I completely know, but I get frustrated because everyone's always talking about like these gurus online. You got to find your brand identity. And yes, on a surface level, that's colors, that's like images, logos, etc. But like, I think when you're trying to define your brand, I would say if you're a new creator, just like pick a direction and go with that and let your brand, quote unquote, develop naturally. I think trying to like pigeonhole yourself all early with like, this is my brand, this is my identity, I'm going to talk about X, Y, and Z as you evolve, as you get older, as you get more wisdom, as you see what's like working and resonating with your audience, chances are your brand is going to evolve and it's going to change. When you try to focus too much about what that is in the beginning, it's just going to get you hung up and probably prevent you from starting because you're too worried about these little specifics. It's like, dude, just pick a direction and go in that. And as you evolve and learn about yourself, your brand will change. And even though it changes, I feel like that's still part of your like brand identity because it's still like who you genuinely are. And like, if like you want to talk about sports and like an umbrella of different things happening within like the sports world, and then maybe you realize like eventually you only want to talk about soccer, did your brand really change? Or because you are unique and putting out unique information, did it stay the same? I don't know. That's why I don't worry too much about like brand identity. I relate it kind of to like bands. Like their first album's different from their second, which is different from their fifth or sixth, and they evolve. And did their brand really change? If it's still the same group of guys making music and making music from their heart and what they wanted to create, I don't know. I don't necessarily think so. I guess your brand would completely change if you did talk about sports for a while and then you're like, fuck this, I'm going to talk about tools. And you started like talking about hammers and drills and things like that. But really, this episode is to try to help you and encourage you not to focus too much on that in the beginning. And chances are, like, if you're just starting out, you're probably just kind of copying someone else's content that like you're inspired by. So are you part of their brand or is that your own brand? I would say not to get too worried about it, regardless of like what all these gurus are going to tell you about finding your brand online and like you're glued to that. No, if you want to change, you could change. Like, who gives a shit? If you haven't been doing this shit for like 3, 4, 5 years, you probably don't even know like what your content identity is, which I think is why it's best to just start, pick a direction, go in that. If you can speak passionately and thoroughly and like have some knowledge about a topic and that's, you decide you want to like talk about that in your content and create around that, just go with it. Just let it rip. And I think it'll just evolve naturally because you're a natural like human being with natural thoughts and processes and ideas and inspirations and likes and dislikes. If you've been doing this for a while, chances are by then you've kind of honed in on like who you are and what you do and the type of people that consume your content. You kind of created a community. Then you probably are more likely to have a quote unquote brand. But I think if you're a new creator, you don't even have that. So you don't need to worry about that. It'll come when it comes and you'll know when that happens. And again, I hate to relate everything to music, but like I've played in numerous bands throughout my life, and like they always kind of change from the beginning. Like it'll be one direction and one influence, but then as everyone starts to get to know each other more and the band starts to grow and see like little successes here and there, everyone's different influences start to come in and things change and get manipulated and turned around, and it's still you and it's still your brand. And so let it rip. Honestly, that's kind of what I do. I have like a direction and kind of like a vision in my mind of like what I want to say and or talk about. And then I kind of let it rip and see what sticks. And if I'm inspired to talk about something one week, I talk about that. And yes, it's all under like the umbrella of content creation and podcasting and YouTube. And I think, in my opinion, it is cohesive and it's like a brand, I guess, because it's coming from me. And I have an idea of what I want to talk about, and I have conviction in that. So in any case, just start. It'll all develop naturally, I promise you. If it feels forced, it probably is, and that's probably not right because you're trying to force your brand identity. Well, that's it for me today, guys. If you want to learn more, if you want to get in touch, if you have questions about podcasting, head on over to thepodcasthaven.com, fill out the contact form. I'll get in touch with you if you hit me up and shoot me a message. Also on the website, there's a ton of great resources and articles on the blog, things that I talk about here on the podcast, different things, equipment, growth, marketing, strategy, everything. So that's thepodcasthaven.com. Keep listening, keep engaging, keep creating. I'm out.